Okay, hello and welcome to a Let's Play of Fantasy General. And we'll start this Let's Play with a story time.
Air was a world graced with joy and a carefree people. Beauty flourished with the bounty of fertile fields and generous skies. In its innocence, though, Air was ill-prepared for the Shadow Lord, a cancerous evil who spread his cloak of death over the world and ravaged its beauty with the foulest corruption. Armies commanded by the Shadow Lord's baleful creatures swept the continents in a merciless march of death. Few escaped their bloody spears. Fewer still held out any hope for deliverance. And only one dared to challenge the Shadow Lord's malevolent reign.
Okay. Very typical fantasy plot. Evil comes to the land and you'll have to defeat it. Fantasy General. It's an old-time strategy game. And one of the sort of better strategy games of all time, if I have to think about all the strategy games I've ever seen or played. Even though it's, well, actually it's old, also the age sort of shows now, but in other ways it doesn't, because still the game is still good, the music is still just alright, very nice, but there hasn't been, at least I don't recall, new or modern versions of this same type of strategy game. So it doesn't really, there's nothing better or really to compare these type of games, because no one really makes them. I guess real-time strategy games have sort of taken the place of these type of games. We'll be playing a campaign game. It'll comprise of 5 continents, I think. We need to... the enemy has 4 generals and then there's the Shadow Lord, and we have to defeat them all one by one. We also can choose from one of 4 generals: Knight Marshal Callus, Sorceress Modra, Archmage Krell, and Lord Maracas. The enemy generals will be a rough correspondence to our own, except for the Shadow Lord. But each continent will have a general, and the fights and armies we'll face there will reflect the general's abilities. So we'll probably, there will be one foot soldier focused, one cavalry focused, one beast focused, and one magic focused. And it will be, the choice of general will be the most important choice we'll make in this game, so I've actually made the choice already. So just so that I don't spend the next 10 minutes wondering what I should be picking. Okay, we also have 3 difficulty levels: easy, medium, hard, and we can also choose a custom setting. What they really do is affect the amount of gold the computer can spend in our mission against us, and the experience level of the units you can buy. We'll go with the medium. I think that's, gold 0, level 0, so everything's normal. Easy is probably -2. We'll go with the medium. Okay, then the generals. Archmage Krell. Advantages, Spellcaster, Archmage. Now, I don't know what these actually mean, and I can't give you a full description of what the advantage and disadvantage every general is, because I don't have the manual anymore. I don't want to go through them. I generally know roughly what they do. Advantage of Krell is spellcasting. He can every turn in this game he can cast a spell. There won't be a huge game-changing spell, but for example, an attack spell on an enemy unit that does cause casualties, 2 wounds, something like that. Every turn you get something be like that. They will be not all damage spells, but they will be offensive ones, so you won't be able to heal or anything like that. But you can constantly every turn sort of shift the balance a little bit in a single fight or an area of combat you really want to. Maybe you want to you have an enemy flying unit and you have nothing to take him out, so you can cast him some kind of an attack spell, like a whirlwind on the enemy, to keep him out of the fight. So things like that. So it's a nice ability. I think this is the only general that can cast spells constantly. Archmage, I'm not sure what it does. It'll probably affect the cost of buying and researching magical units and spellcasters. Also, it allows access to magical units. This is the only general that can get magical units by researching them and simply buying them. So that's his specialty. Lord Marcus, it's infantry focused. Heavy and light infantry recruiter. Famous warlord general. I have no idea what those mean. But I do mean that know the fact that he has only mortal units, so no magical units, no beast units, and he has an easier time with light and heavy infantry recruitment and research. That's the advantages I remember. There might be others, because I really don't remember what warlord and general does. I think they might give some kind of battle advantages. So your units are sort of, you can't cast spells and your units are very typical, nothing fantastical, but what you have, you do it well. So this would be probably one of the better choices to take, because mortal units have one advantage over the magical or beast units, and that's that once you research a new version of a heavy infantry, for example, you can just pay a little bit of money to upgrade your existing units, and there you get basically a new unit with the experience level of the previous unit, so nothing gets wasted and it's much cheaper to do. On the magical side, you need to buy an entirely new unit. You can't upgrade the existing ones, you have to basically get rid of them. So you have to start from 0 experience, and it's much more expensive to buy a new unit than it is to upgrade one. So it's a different level of problem, or different type of playing. Sorceress Mudra. Limited spellcaster. She can cast a single spell once per battle, but their spells are usually much more impactful. I think hers are heal all beast units or cause a plague that wounds all enemies, or at least have a chance to wound all enemies. The other thing is Beastmaster to basically gain access to these beast units like Lizardmen, Firebeetles, and then summon monsters. I think the summon monsters means you get like 2 free magical units at the start of each battle. So basically units that you can sacrifice in that battle, and there's no reason why you would like to keep them even alive. It's a sacrificial units you can get. They will be very... At the start of the game they'll actually be good units. So I think there are good units throughout the game, but yeah, the meaning of the impact of that ability sort of lowers as the game progresses. And Knight Martial Cavalry. Limited spellcaster, healer, charismatic against... Knight Martial has a healing spell that heals all wounds on your units once per battle. That's not what the healer means though. And I don't know what the charismatic means. I think he has an easier time dealing with sort of, or gets less wounds, or has a lesser chance of breaking your squad or things like that. Breaking your squad is basically a status effect on your army unit that makes it... Well, you never want to fight with an army unit that's broken. You have to rest to get rid of that stat effect. Sort of, so I'm suspecting that you have you get sort of a moral bonus, or get lesser, reduced number of wounds on battle or something like that. But again, I don't know, I haven't read the manual. When going through these channels, I was sort of torn between a couple of choices. I immediately abandoned the cavalry option because I don't really like to play with the cavalry, at least not this time. It's a good general though. All of these generals are playable, especially on the medium difficulty level. Mordra is it's not bad, but you get things like lion men, werebears, elephant men, all types of beast units. But again, I'm not that keen on them. Archmage Krell, it's really a different type of playstyle because you can cast spells constantly. And you have a heavy magical focus. One of the best things I recall about this channel is the Sky Hunters, basically your air force that's aimed at attacking other air units. So it's, if you'd have to find a equivalent in a more modern army setting, it would be like air units that's a fighter craft, so as opposed to a bomber craft. So a Sky Hunter would be a fighter craft, and Archmage Krell has the base, I think, fighter craft in that sense, or Sky Hunter. If I recall correctly, it's a magical unit that can basically revive the dead. So if you don't lose the army unit, you can always recover. So extremely powerful units in that sense. But I opt for the Lord Marcus option. The reason being, I really haven't played this in ages, and I know it'll get harder and harder as the game progresses. But this will be a very forgiving undertake, because mortal units... Heavy infantry is a good solid center for any army, and this has a infantry focus, so that's a good thing. We can probably develop heavy infantry quite fast. Other is they're mortal units, so we can upgrade them. We don't have to buy new ones, so it'll be cheaper for us. And since the amount of gold you get in this game is sort of randomized, I don't have to load that much this game. I do have to load, but I don't have to redo. Well, there are like some sites in this game. When you reach them, you get a random reward from it. It might be something like 20 gold, but it might also be something like 110 gold. So if you have a army that's high maintenance, that requires a ton of gold to upkeep, it's very tempting to just save before it and reload until you at least get some of the higher values you can get from a site. If I take Lord Marcus, I think I can sort of ignore that. I can just go to their sites, take whatever I get from them and move on. So in that sense it'll be, in many ways it'll be forgiving and allow us to just go on and play, and I think that's very attractive when you are doing a let's play. You don't want to get stuck in constantly reloading to redo things. I might have to do that in some locations, because some items, well, you don't have to do it, but the benefit you can get from them is so massive that it's very tempting to at least discard all terrible options. Some of the terrible options would include volunteer armies. Volunteer armies will basically abandon you at the end of a continent, so I'd rather take, in many cases, almost anything else than a volunteer army, because even 50 gold pieces at least advances my research, allows me to buy new units for my center army. While on the other hand, a volunteer is, with few exceptions, is basically just useless, a wasted sort of reward. I might do a little bit of loading, but yeah. We'll go with Lord Marcus and the infantry focus, and this is our initial army: swordmen, two group of peasants, slingers, and elf bowmen. So an archer, light infantry, heavy infantry, and two skirmishers. This is a very small army to start with, but that's not gonna be a problem, not with him. So without wasting further time, let's get started with the game.